slow and deep. And this is gonna hopefully bring clarity to whoever needs it. Only apply it if it actually fits your situation. Only take what parts apply and leave the rest for someone else, because these are general collective messages. But this one's gonna be a bit into like generational healing, family dynamics, things like that, trauma from childhood, and hopefully clarifying for whoever. And again, don't force anything. So if this isn't your story, it's not your story, but you can still enjoy it for entertainment or educational purposes. Keep in mind, I'm a healer, these things can be quite heavy. We bring in lightness wherever we can, but it's healing work, so that's what we're here to do. I'm going to scry my black mirror. I also might use this a bit, this like piece of glass. Sometimes it brings a lot. I feel called to do that now. I do feel clarity coming in for what hasn't been clear, what has been very challenging to heal from because of the lack of clarity from certain like family dynamics. So we're gonna figure out the best that we can what's coming through, but we do get a lot of energies moving through, so again, only take what actually fits, but these are more like familial type dynamics. I have been getting very strong like father energy, a sister energy coming through, even a grandmother energy, and clarity about a mother specifically. And so this might be having to do with how you were treated, and in part it's like your family was unclear as well, or not seeing things clearly, not understanding how to deal with certain things. I feel like there was a very intense mother energy that like an unhealed mother that let me do my invocations real quick. I know, for funsies. Welcome in now. Custores, Presidium, Lux mei, adesso, veritate mi profondo lucere, clari, mihi ostende. Okay, again, this is gonna be clarity for some. Clarity for some, but it's not going to be everyone's story, so take only what actually resonates with your story, and if it helps you, it helps you, but please use these insights responsibly. And if you need professional help getting through your trauma, please seek that out, because I'm not that. I'm just here delivering messages as they come through. So I'm going to kind of get into this mother energy that I'm feeling, and I feel like this is where perhaps some of your family members have to come together at last to finally try to put this picture together. There feels like deep loss here, though, and a lot of heavy realizations about a very like sick individual in the family, and again, this could be like your mother, but apply it as it sees fit. Hello, welcome back. I'm gonna be kind of ignoring the comments a little bit, so please talk amongst yourselves. If there's anyone being rude or inappropriate, just ignore them, and hopefully they'll leave. But yeah, feel free to talk amongst yourselves and have fun. But this is going to be a heavier kind of reading because we're doing healing work here. So this is for whoever is healing from like some deeper family stuff, that like breaking generational patterning, and moving beyond that. That's who this will be helpful for. And if you didn't know you needed that and this helps, then maybe you landed in the right place. This would be like a very intense mother figure who was very misunderstood and didn't know how to cope with her own trauma. It's kind of what's coming through here. And there are a lot of family members hurt by this person, including yourself. But obviously still a lot of care for that person, a lot of love for that person. But I think there are people that didn't realize different behaviors that were being enabled because people just wanted to help. There's something there that feels very deep and kind of on the darker side. Like this person definitely very much lived in their shadow. This could have been a very angry person. Doesn't mean they didn't have a lighter side to them. They could have been like bipolar or something, or just had like some sort of like psychological disturbances that they did not know how to cope with. And I feel like the people around, like people within the family, didn't know how to cope with that or what to do with that either. Like no one really had the tools to understand what was truly going on. But also I feel like looking back, there are certain family members wishing that they had done more, and I feel like that's mostly coming from the father figure, your father and your possibly your grandmother or grandparents, wishing that they had done more to get this person help. I feel like certain suspicions of things that were kind of swept under the rug, a lot of confusion though around that, and dealing with the intensity of this person was too great. It was like too risky. It felt too risky. Too risky. Rather than saying specifically brother or sister, I'll just say sibling, but it feels like there are siblings who were deeply affected as well, and each sibling or each child from their parents is going to be affected differently, of course, because we all have different personalities, right? So everyone's affected differently, and then each individual goes through their own experiences as well. So there's also something about a certain sibling of yours who had a lot of struggles. And there's enabling here too. I feel like the mother enabled certain things in this person. Could have particularly babied this person, or like I feel like that, yeah, this mother just didn't understand how to deal with certain things and had strong reactions to things that made things harder. I feel like a stingray. Certain aspects of your childhood really stung a lot of you, but also other people, and especially from this person in particular. But as like your sibling or siblings, plural if you have them, could have been hit differently than you did. Like you carried the wounds differently. There's a lot of stress around that, a lot of pain in a lot of people in your family from having to deal with someone so deeply wounded and not knowing how to cope, and no one around really knowing what to do with that either, or how to help exactly. Because it's like this person at times is perfectly fine, perfectly happy, but then at other times there's like this sickness that and we're speaking in this day and age, if this is your childhood, how, depending on how old you are, times shift, times are different. So psychology hasn't always been something that people talk about so openly. So that could have been an aspect to it. There could be certain psychological illness that runs in the family, even that was just deeply misunderstood and created a lot of trauma that no one really knew how to heal from. that's no one's fault necessarily, but there is a lot of pain there. There's a lot of deep pain there. I don't know, things feel very torn apart and upside down now. Feels like the family was torn apart in some way. There could have even been like divorce in the family, could be from like a broken family. Oof. See what else we got. There's a lot of sadness in the family, a lot. There's something about torture, and it can just be like the tortured soul. Could be multiple tortured souls within the family. I kind of want to get into like the father energy because that was coming through the strongest. It's kind of what started this. And something about intentions and I heard something about like your father might be intending to make things right. Where but they have a fear, like they're not exactly clear on how to make things right. You really feel like they wronged you in some way by not knowing how to deal with your mother. They just feel like deeply apologetic, and there's fear, a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear in dealing with this individual. For some people, it could have been their mother, that apply it as to your story as it fits, right? But it feels like, I don't know, a father who wasn't really there for you. Maybe you had to leave. Maybe it feels like missing part of your life in some way or another. Maybe you had a relationship in some points in your life, but it wasn't always there. So maybe you lacked stability in certain ways, and they didn't realize how deeply that cut you and how much that would affect you, how this person that struggled so much to cope with their own pain and their own instability, they didn't realize. I feel like they really wish they would have done things a bit differently. They wish they would have been able to take on more, or I don't know if it's take on more so much as I don't know, just do things differently. I think they want to make things right now. I don't know, like you might have an estranged relationship with your father, and they've felt that gap for a long time. This is really emotional for them. Like they really want to open up a new channel of communication if you're ever open to that. To have the opportunity to right their wrongs, to make it right for you. And there could have been a lot of confusion as well. That's why it's so hard to get clear on this trauma, because of this mother who perhaps said a lot about, the father, especially if there's like a divorce there and the father wasn't present. Maybe like this mother said a lot, like put a lot of her own feelings about that person, and them leaving, that distorted your view of your father, and that makes it hard to connect. So there's a bit of healing there. So they might have, and with this person's psychology being what it is, they could have put a lot of like projected beliefs and very confusing things in your mind that it really distorted your reality and could have set you off onto this very troubling path where it was hard to heal from because there's so much like lack of clarity. So you really could have thought the worst of your father because of like your mother's instability. That could have been very confusing. Maybe you thought your mother was the one that was there for you because she was around. So that was like a confusing thing. But I feel like this mother is very emotionally unstable and maybe relied on you a lot for your emotional stability, but didn't realize how much that weighed on you. I feel like you had to take on a lot. Feels like stored in the gut, like something that really affected you, your wellness, your mental health in a lot of ways. And just there's a lot of distortion. Very little clarity there, which is why I feel like this is so important to come through now. I feel like, I don't know, you might have really distanced yourself from all of your family to the point where you're very isolated. And you have certain estranged family that would like to reconnect with you if you're ever open to it, but they also understand if you don't want to or if you can't because the confusion or the pain is too great. I'm hearing something is not true. There's something is not true. And it could be something that you intuited or suspected, but again, weren't sure. There's a lot of distortion. There's a lot of what your mother said that was not true. That created a lot of confusion. This under like it's here to give you guidance in some way. Hold on. It's a bit muffled. It could be that yeah, I don't know. It could be that everyone is so hurt that it's hard for anyone in the family to reconnect as well. But it's kind of hard to make out because I feel like multiple energies all at the same time. Let me slow down and go a little deeper. Okay, I heard there's nothing more we can say to get you to see the truth. I feel like they want you to know you didn't do anything wrong by taking the path that you did to heal in your own way. But they can't necessarily see things in the way that you do or understand things in the way that you do. And it's hard for them to understand where you're coming from. Either you see what you want to see, or your mother, she was seeing what she wanted to see, but I feel like there's something there. There's a lot that wasn't true. It was very confusing. They could have, okay, to try to make things right, they could have, I don't know, there could have been something they turned her in for, or maybe got her into, for some, like a psych ward even, to try to make this right. And it's not that they didn't love her, they cared a lot, but they had to do this to make this right. It wasn't right that it took so long for them to do something, and it wasn't fair to you. But they didn't realize the weight that you carried, the burden that you carried. I feel like you maybe carried yourself well enough, or you were always so strong, or you are always so strong. They didn't know how much you were hurting inside, and you might be more quiet too. They really didn't know what you were going through inside, all the weight that you were carrying. You seemed happy, you seemed okay, you seemed strong through everything. It seemed like nothing bothered you, but they see now that that's not true. And I think it became more obvious as you got into like adulthood, if you struggled with like depression and things like that, and maybe just kind of started distancing yourself more and more, and experiencing things even outside of the home that kind of led you into your own darkness, and not necessarily in a bad way, but in a way that really weighed you down. And they didn't know how to reach you, or how to support you, how to connect with you. And they still don't. I think they feel like they hope that opens up at some point, but they know you need to go through your own process. You're very different. You're different than your sibling or your siblings, whatever your situation. Whereas like your sibling or siblings may have been more like open and outright with your emotions, you're more internal with yours. Like your mother's very external with her emotions as well, but you're kind of opposite of everyone. So you just look normal, you looked okay, you looked fine, you looked unbothered. But it's not necessarily the case. There's a lot of fear, and fear and facing your fear and connecting with you now. Also feeling like a great loss, though. Like they feel like an empty space when you're not there. They feel terrible that you feel so unloved by them, because they love you so much. And they don't know what to do to fix that. They don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to make that right. And I heard it's not the end if you don't want it to be. is a lot. There's a lot of family trauma for whoever this is resonating with. Very heavy for everyone in the family. I feel like everyone feels equally as broken. Just everyone handles it differently. It's deep. This runs really deep. This is something where it could be some sort of like psychological trauma. It's like generations deep, but it only hits certain family members. There was one sibling in particular that was really struggling too, but no one really saw the extent of that either, the extent of their darkness either. That could have been more recently that both of these people were seen to their deaths. And I feel like that's still a struggle. There's it is not okay how you were treated, and you deserve real love. They wish that you felt that from them, but they understand where you're at. There might be some family members that are afraid that you might find out about some distortions that they felt about you as well, and how you'll take that. But I feel like it's like this mother figure, possibly a sibling as well, who fed into a lot of these distortions that made things confusing for the entire family, and it's a very complex kind of situation where, I mean, of course there's going to be all sorts of feelings there, but they're hoping you'll understand where they're coming from, because we all get caught in our fears, of course, you know, and they're hoping you'll understand, because you got caught up in your own distortions, that you'll understand theirs as well. I actually feel a lot of relief just from that. They're hoping that through your healing process, you've learned to understand like the complexity of things, and enough to where you can forgive them. And I think they also want you to know they forgive you for feeling how you felt through the distortions that were created on your end as well. And it seems like this person, or these couple people who are really struggling in this way, spend a lot of time and energy into like seeding these distortions and creating distance between family members, which is partly why everyone feels so distant and things feel so broken. I heard something about like your sister, and I got very specifically your sister didn't know she could talk to you so openly about things. She felt like she couldn't, or she was afraid to. She didn't think you would understand, or she didn't think you would take things well. Maybe she always saw you as someone who was very, very sensitive, or wouldn't understand certain things. She wishes that she had been more open with you. She wishes she hadn't pushed you away so much. She feels like if she just would have been more open with you, then things could have been resolved sooner. The truth could have come to light sooner in a way that people didn't have to be hurt so badly. But there's pain all around and confusion all around, and I think everyone's just trying to get a little bit more clear, but it's a very heavy thing. These family members were very, very unwell and decent enough at hiding it, or at least creating enough confusion around and separation around to hide for so long. But they were deeply tormented inside, like tortured souls. These ones were tortured souls, and you'll know exactly who they are for you. I think naturally this is going to be something that takes a lot of time to heal within yourself and within the family, within each individual. And I mean, of course, it's going to depend on you and your situation, your family, and the readiness of everyone to move past this. But I feel and hearing healing is inevitable. I mean, no matter how that manifests, that is true. Whether you connect with your family again through this clarity or not is going to be up to you and them, of course. But there's a lot of fear around that. There's a lot of fear in what will be discovered. And that's okay. I feel like they're just accepting where you are and what you need, and they want you to know that. Yeah, I feel like they want to emphasize you didn't do anything wrong by going off and healing the way that you needed to, and something about like you're not in trouble. I almost wonder if like your mother made you feel like you're in trouble a lot, or like just like the intensity of that energy being put onto you as she was trying to escape herself. I feel like this is something like a regular, like there's a pattern over time. It's like built up within you. Also something like you didn't ruin anything. This wasn't your fault. I want you to know it's not your fault. She was very sick, and she should have gotten help a long time ago, but she was running from herself and no one really knew how to deal with her. Also, if you ever felt like because you spent so much time with her, like, and she projected so much onto you, if you ever felt like you were like, you're nothing like her, and you might have aspects of her, then you naturally, she's your parent, but you're really nothing like her, you're quite opposite. And that might be something that's almost intentional within you. But I think they want you to know you don't need to run from that, because, or like try to be opposite of that, because you're naturally just not her. You know, you're not like that at all. And I think there's a lot of things you might find out about your mom that you didn't know before that can be very hurtful and troublesome. Some of the things that she was hiding from. And this might terrify you. It might make you feel really sick. It might be really traumatizing to find out certain things. But it's time you know the truth so that you can truly heal. It's time you know the truth. And through this through bringing out the truth, the whole family is able to heal now. And they just wish they would have done it sooner. But it was really hard, you know, because everyone cares, and she's very fragile. She's very, very fragile. So they tried to do this with care, but it's kind of a hard thing to do with this type of situation. I feel like you taking the time to break free, to gain your own clarity in whatever way you need it, even though I think it's pretty obvious to them that you still didn't understand fully what was going on. It was hard for you to make sense of things. Maybe you tried to with them, but I feel like they had their own avoidance in it, their own fears, and that they realized that made things a lot harder for you and made things a lot more scary and confusing for you than if they would have just told you the truth up front. But I feel like they also weren't ready at the time to accept the full truth, and maybe they didn't even know the full truth themselves just yet. I heard to an extent. To an extent. I feel like your sister is really sorry. The sister energy is coming through very strong. She's really sorry. They wish they would have been there to support you through something pretty major in your life. They weren't, but they can't take that back. But they were caught up in their own fears. There's another aspect to that too that kind of made things more confusing and a lot harder, but we're going to keep it to this message for now. But you've been through some really big things, a lot of really traumatizing things in your life, and your family just wants you to heal, and in your own time, however that looks for you. And whatever you need will be here. I want you to know they'll always be there. Damn, this one's deep. You'll find out the truth soon. They are scared though. They're scared, but in this space where they're accepting. But it's a painful process for everyone in your family. So just keep that in mind as you move through whatever this is for you. And it's equally as painful as everyone. You're all just handling it differently. close this one out. That was heavy. Hope this helps whoever needed help. It helped me. Alright, love guys. Kumamore, Dimito, Sigilo, Protego. Back to us.